welcome to our daily news edition coming to you from Canal, Algérie to the major headlines. Bilateral relations are the core of a phone call between the President of the Republic and his Syrian counterpart Bashar al-Assad. Multiple successful operations against drug trafficking are mercilessly being carried out by the People's National Army and the security forces to uproot this dangerous scourge. And foreign delegations are flocking to the Sahrawi refugee camps to take stock of the situation and voice their support for a people seeking freedom. Good evening, those were today's top stories. We start off our news with the President of the Republic, who received on Monday a phone call from his brother, the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, who congratulated on his behalf and on behalf of the Syrian people on the occasion of the blessed Ramadan. For his part, the President of the Republic congratulated him as well on his behalf and on behalf of the Algerian people on the occasion of this blessed month. The Syrian President updated the President of the Republic of the situation in Syria while reiterating his thanks to the Algerian people and the government for their support following the massive earthquake which recently hit the country. The two presidents then exchanged their points of view regarding the strong bilateral relations binding the two brotherly countries and peoples. The 48th meeting of the OPEC non-OPEC Ministerial Follow-up Committee was held on Monday via video conference. The meeting tackled the review of the level of compliance with the production quota commitments, in addition to the delegate declaration of cooperation for January and February 2023 and the conditions and prospects for short-term developments of the international oil market. The Minister of Energy and Mines, who took part in the meeting, recalled Algeria's respected commitments of reduction, as it will proceed from next May to a voluntary reduction of its oil production quota of 48,000 barrels per day until the end of the current year. And the same announcement was equally made by the several big oil exporting countries, which made the oil price jump on Monday. In the first exchanges in Asia, the barrel of the North Sea Brent reached $80.01 US. In the parliamentary activity, the finance minister presented the draft bill of monetary and banking law to members of the National People's Assembly in the presence of the minister in charge of relations with the parliament. This draft bill aims to reform the country's banking system by consolidating governance in running the monetary and banking institutions, in addition to expanding the privileges of the Bank of Algeria and the Fund Council, while preserving financial stability throughout reforms that are up to the internal and external challenges. In cooperation, the President of the National People's Assembly, Brahim Boughali, called from Abidjan for spearheading a qualitative transition, allowing the African continent to snatch its place in international governance. Boughali reiterated during a keynote speech in the opening of the annual ordinary session of the Ivorian National Council the necessity to opt of suitable partnerships for the continent. In another development, the Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad Minister Ahmed Attaf received a phone call from his French counterpart Catherine Colonna. This phone call, which was preceded by a phone call between the Algerian and French heads of state, allowed the discussion of ways and means to consolidate bilateral relations within the deadlines agreed upon. The two parties also assessed the progress made so far when it comes to the files around which the President of the Republic's next visit to France will be centered on. And moving on to the renewable energy, and today we will talk about the solar panels factory in Ouargla province, equipped with the best machines and produces nearly 200 megawatts a year. Let's find out more about this unique solar plant with Najah Diyar.
In Ouargla Activity Zone, the solar panels manufacturing unit is covering a total area of more than 9,000 cubic meters. Its production capacity reaches 200 megawatts per year. It is the first of its kind at the national level. which came as a result of a private investment. This project is meant to contribute to the national project of the constructing 1,000 megawatt photovoltaic power stations and the increase of the production capacity for export. We proceeded at the level of this factory to gather the solar panels. We have different types of panels of different sizes. Our panels, which are of very good quality, are intended for the local market with unbeatable prices. This factory is one of the large-scale projects on which the government's program is based that will run until 2035 to ensure the energy transition. This private investment project has benefited from the government's support. The factory, which is equipped with ultra-sophisticated equipment, will generate direct employment for a qualified local force. I am an engineer in this factory in charge of this machine called interconnection machine. It is a junction welder machine and essential in the panels manufacturing process. Soon after obtaining my university degree, I quickly found a job. I was lucky to work in my study field. This solar panel factory is set within the government's strategy for sustainable development and green economy. It will meet 30% of the national market and supply the 5 future solar stations planned through the provinces of Wurgla, Tugurt, Bashar, Al-Wad and Laghwat.
In a different context, the fight against the scourge of drug trafficking has been intensified. The People's National Army units and the different security services have carried out a number of successful operations during which they seized large quantities of prohibited drugs. More details with Mehdi Sakubash.
Within the framework of the fight against drug trafficking and psychotropic substances, the security services seized a large quantity of drugs, a scourge that keeps threatening both security and stability of our country. Important illegal substance seizure operations and dismantling groups specialized in the commercialization of drugs and cannabis were recorded during the last months. A number of criminal networks were also dismantled thanks to the continuous efforts of the People's National Army's operational units, the National Gendarmerie, policemen and customs. According to the 2022 statistics related to the consumption of drugs, more than 10 million psychotropic tablets, 48 tons of cannabis, 35 kilograms of cocaine were seized, in addition to the arrest of 1,600 individuals implied. The security services seized at the beginning of Ramadan more than 16,000 psychotropic tablets destined for smuggling in the provinces of Annaba, Oran, Wurgla and Algiers. All services treated 96,797 cases, including 23,467 related to illegal drug trafficking and 8,342 related to the traffic and commercialization of cannabis. These results reflect the high professionalism, vigilance and availability of our armed forces throughout the national territory and at the level of borders, where efforts are multiplied in coordination with the different security services so as to put an end to any attempt that might hit the country's security and stability. As a matter of the law, the draft bill related to the prevention and repression of the use of psychotropic substances and its trafficking, it includes tougher sanctions to be imposed for drug trafficking, with prison sentences going up to 30 years.
In other news, the Spanish European MP Idoia Villanueva denounced the exclusion of the Polisario Front from the ongoing negotiations regarding the fishing agreement between the European Union and Morocco. This latter is currently subject to a legal procedure in front of the EU Court of Justice. This agreement is due to expire next July, a deadline after which the European Court should intervene. Foreign delegations keep flocking to the Sahrawi refugee camps to inquire about their situation and voice, by the way, their support for this fair cause via a series of meetings with Sahrawi leader. Ines Killu has the details.
The Sahrawi issue, more than ever before, is at the heart of the activist actions of the Spanish elite, and this is despite all the attempts of the Mahsen regime to stifle the resistance of the Sahrawi people. A Spanish delegation consisting of lawyers, human rights defenders, and social workers arrived in the Sahrawi refugee camps to show their support and solidarity with the Sahrawi people in their struggle against the Moroccan occupation, and thus expressed their rejection of the Sanchez government, siding with the expansionist thesis of the Makhzen.
We came to the Sahrawi refugee camps to take stock of the situation of the refugees with our own eyes. We intend to work and continue studying on legal information to find out the status of the Sahrawi legitimacy that will lead hopefully to the self-determination of the Sahrawi people. Everyone in Spain and Europe knows the Sahrawi issue. We are here to discuss international law that could lead to self-determination for the Sahrawi people, a will emanating directly from people, and this has been since the beginning of the Moroccan occupation.
The Spanish delegation will visit Sahrawi institutions and take part in workshops with actors and politicians of the Sahrawi Democratic Republic. As you can see, we have had the pleasure of welcoming the Spanish delegation of lawyers and judges from Alicante region who will be visiting the Sahrawi refugee camps to inquire about the latest developments in the Sahrawi cause and to express their rejection of the Sanchez government's bias with Morocco's expansionist theories. A visit that reaffirms support for the Sahrawi cause, which is undergoing important development at all levels, especially as the Sahrawi people are preparing to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the creation of the Popular Front of the Liberation of Saqiya al-Hamra and Wad al-Dahab.
And a new massacre took place in occupied Palestine. Young people were killed by the Zionist forces during a raid in a neighborhood in Nablus. Another Zionist attack in Al Khalil resulted in the death and 2 deaths and the injury of dozens. It is worth mentioning that the number of Palestinian victims reached 94 since the beginning of the current year. And back to Algeria to share some funny moments with the Italian circus of Rome now performing in Algiers to the great joy of adventure lovers during this blessed month of Ramadan. Enjoy and goodbye.